Good morning, everybody. Today, I would like to talk to you about a ASQA standard requirement clause 1.7 support learners. This is basically more about how do we ensure the individual needs of the students and how do we help them to uh, have a very good learning experience with us. So this is one of the standard requirements, and we have actually done some system improvements to manage this requirement. And I would like you to take you through the process how in IHNA we're going to manage individual needs of students and how are we going to support them with the process. So I'll just take you to the first is this is a standard which uh, ask us want us to do. RTS must be able to demonstrate they identify for each learner any additional support required and that this support is made available either directly or via arrangements third party. So these standards are published through our compliance framework under QMS. So if you are familiar with QMS, there is a compliance framework tab where each standard is listed. So every standard we just copied what our ASCO standard says and what is the intent of it, and we put some guides or policies related to it. So in this standard we put academic participation and progression policy, student support services, student representative council policy, and disability policy. So I would like you to really go through each of these policy and ensure that you are familiarized with that. So we also put some strategies to the standard here. So in the strategies, we talk a little bit more about foundation skills identification and support, how IHNA going to identify that. And we have an option to do all the students to do a FSAT, foundation skills assessment tool test. So once the test is done, you can actually see the level of foundation skills for each of the student. And we can then make a support plan accordingly. So I want you to start implementing this FSAT test and identify the needs. So we put some procedures here. Once you do the conduct the test, what is the next step? So you need to update that into the student profile page. So I'll take you there very shortly. And we also got English support for nursing students to gain registration. So at the moment, we have a lot of international students studying diploma of nursing program with us. Each one of them, or maybe other domestic students also who may need to do English test in order to gain registration at the end of the diploma of nursing program. And this is very important, and we want to make sure that we identify that group of students and start providing them support and encouragement for improving their language. So you can do a lot of things for that. You can encourage them to participate in more discussions, maybe offer additional support to them, and also you can offer some OET training, which we already started in Parramatta campus. We have a structured OET training happening, and students are given fees discount for joining compared to the other students. So these are the options we can provide. So we put some uh, uh, possibilities here, but I want you to really read through these strategies and then share your views through the publication in the workplace so that we can continue to improve this. And we also got culturally and linguistically diverse group of students, and they maybe need additional support when most of them comes through humanitarian visa. So we need to identify their support requirements and then work with them. And we also got physical challenges for some students. Maybe they have disabilities or have challenges in terms of strength of managing patients, because in healthcare programs they need to have the sufficient strength, and you need to look at individual students and see if there is any if they have any physical challenges, and we can provide support services for that. So these are the few things we identified, but you can also continue to add more by providing more and more feedback. So how do we going to manage this? So if you go through the Knowledgehub part, where we actually created diversity and inclusion. This is a section we created under each student profile. This is a settings page you are seeing. So we already put physical challenges, culturally and linguistically diverse or CLAD group, English language support for international students or students who need registration, leading registration program lead, English test or nursing students, foundation skills training. So some of the students at the end of the program, everybody aiming to get jobs, and the foundation skills are very important for students to get into workplace. So foundation skills requirements are embedded into training packages now. So I expect all the educators have the knowledge, and if there is any support the staff or students required, we need to be able to provide it. And there is a lot of times there is an advanced standing, educational standing of students. So we need to identify those students with advanced standing and then maybe able to support them with progressing the program. Sometimes the pro the advanced standing or they have more knowledge can be wrong also. They may have a misconcept about a lot of things. So we also need to manage those students. So if you look at one student profile, I just take it through, and we have actually created the last button is a diversity and inclusion. So you need to go to edit the page in order to select diversity and inclusion or any other requirements. So this says actually any document you can upload supporting this requirement. Challenges, automatically the system will already be listed some challenges and support plans for this particular group. And what as an educator, if you know, if you provide once some of these supports, you have to come back and add a journal entry here for that particular student about what you done for that. So this is very important for us to keep evidence of what we whether we identified the student needs, and if you identified what we done about it. So it's basically very very important to continue working on it. So we have identified here card requirements as well as English language requirements. So once you list all the add new journal, it will also list here. So in a student page, profile page, we can monitor this. So this is how we going to work around these requirements, and I want you to really read the our policy on it. Sorry. So this is a policy on student support. So if you look at, there is a lot of ways we saying orientation day, upon arrival, accommodation support, welfare service, all this we have to do. So be ensure that we are continue to support the students. But I just take it to the last part of it. So this table says about students should assessing individual needs. So this is the section I am talking about diversity and inclusion, where we need to provide individual support to students. So this can be identified during enrollment or through pre-training reviews or while in orientation time or while you're taking classes, and you can see the difficulties students face. So any time you can identify student need and add on to it. And also during English or LLM test we can identify some of the student needs. So orientation time, so every way we already put in the policy, and ongoing support, how do we provide. So the system is already updated. So I expect every educators and admin staff to really work closely to work with each individual student, identify their individual needs and update what we do for them. And this is actually ASCO requirements. But on top of that, while I was reading some article about it, so this is about teaching excellence and education innovation, Carnegie Mellon University. There's a study done in 2014, and they have come out with 7 practices for teaching and learning effectiveness. And this is the first one, which talk about identifying individual needs and providing training to students. So they are actually saying one thing, when we teach, we do not teach the content, we teach students the content. A variety of student characteristics can affect learning. For example, students with cultural and generational backgrounds influence how they see the world. Disciplinary background lead students to approach problems in different ways. Students' prior knowledge, both accurate and inaccurate aspects. So we need to be working with students with all these diversities, and I really think the effort we're taking will definitely give our students much better experience. and it will give a new environment for studying in IHNA. And I look forward to continue getting feedback from each one of you and working with this. Thank you.